visible. Is my screen visible? Yes, no. Everyone, is my screen visible? Yeah, okay. Yes. So, in the last class, we had seen what is concurrency. So, today we'll be seeing synchronization and we'll be moving into JDBC today. So, as I mentioned yesterday, synchronization is used to control the access. So, in critical section, so for example, you are in something critical section, okay, or you are in a critical position. So it is something like think someone has been hacked your mobile or something, so you have all the data in that, or any document has been misplaced, so you will be in the critical situation where you wanted your data back. So that time, to overcome that, what you'll do is you'll go to some police station or cyber security, you'll raise a complaint and you'll get the things back what you wanted. So in the same way, to overcome the concurrency, the race condition, so we'll be using synchronization. So it is a mechanism to control so that, so it is used to control the access shared across, so that one thread can execute critical section. So it is something like, for example, I'll keep a apple, okay. So I have a two customer A and customer B, so both the customer has to eat an apple, okay. So that is something called critical condition for us. So both of them are gonna access for that particular apple, and think I have only one apple, okay. So that time what happens, they'll start fighting each other. So and the apple, it won't be like one person will be not taking the apple. So for one apple, they'll be fighting each other. So I need this apple, and the customer B says, I need this apple. So to overcome this, we'll be using synchronization. To overcome that, what I'll do is I'll keep two apples, and so that everyone can access easily. So that is called synchronization. So, or else you could take an example of ATM machine as well. So, it is something like one person can withdraw at a time, and so that it cannot prevent an incorrect balance. So, as I mentioned yesterday, we were speaking about the balance one. So, to overcome that, we'll be using this one. So, yesterday we had used a problem, right? So, there what you were using is like class, I guess we were using counter problem. Yes. So I had used int count is equals to 0. Yes or no? So inside that I have used public void increment. So we were using this one, public void increment, right? So instead of using public void increment, what I'll do is I'll be using synchronize keyword there. So I'll be using synchronized keyword. So where the synchronized keyword logs the object. So when it logs the object, that says only one thread can access at a time. So I'll keep an apple and I'll log the apple, and I'll say one person can access that apple at a time. So once the apple first person comes in, he'll hit apple, he'll go, I'll replace with the other apple, then again the second person will come, he'll take the apple and go. So it is something like ATM machine. So if one person is withdrawing the money, the other person has to wait. So for example, think both the person has the same account, so both the person cannot withdraw at a time. So there I'll be locking that system, so that if one person is withdrawing, the other person has to wait. Once he withdraws, the other person goes and withdraws, so that the fetching of balance will be perfectly correct and will be getting a perfect value. So whereas in this example we had given a decision making statement here saying that count plus plus. So only this is called as decision making. So I wanted to increment till 5 steps, right? So count plus plus is where we are making decision, so that is where I'm using synchronize. So this is my main key. So there I'm using synchronized keyword and locking the objects. So when I use synchronized keyword and lock these objects, so now it becomes says, so no other thread can come and interface my documents. So that time I'll get the correct output called 2000. So is that clear? So do you have any doubts here? Any doubts in synchronization? Jivan, do you have any doubts? Okay.
No, ma'am, it's clear, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So I want you guys to try this, just adding a synchronized keyword. So whereas in concurrency, sometimes when it writes back, first it will roll, then read, then loads, and again it starts writing the results back, right? So that time, if the all the steps are executed properly, you will get the correct answer. Sometimes you might get, sometimes you may not get. So that time, to overcome that, we'll be using synchronization. So how synchronization works? So this is a very important question, they'll ask it in interview. So they'll ask how it works. So first what you'll say is like, each object has a monitor lock here. So when it comes to synchronization, so I as I said, so this is a main key where we are accessing everything, main decision making thing. So we are using a synchronized keyword here so that it locks the object. So in the same way, you need to say each object, sorry, each object has a monitor lock here. Then once the monitor lock is done, when a when the thread en- when the thread enters to the synchronization, it acquires a locks. So if I enter, for example, as I said the apple example, so once I enter into the room to eat apple, so the doors will be automatically locked until I go out. So it acquires. Okay. Then third step is like other lock, other threads. So in case if other threads wanted to access inside that room, so it has to wait until the lock is released. So is this clear? So how it works is, first will be having locking system that is called monitor lock. Then once the thread enters into synchronized keyword, it will lock the door. It is something like it will lock the door, and it waits until this thread leaves out of the room. Okay, once this thread is leaving out of the room, the other thread enters inside, and again it will lock. Okay, until the work is done, it will be locked. So is that clear? So you can use also this keyword here if you want. So here you can access this keyword. So here what I'm doing is I'm using synchronize for whole thing. Okay, so if you wanted to add lock only for one particular thing, okay, that time you can use this keyword. So that for example, so I wanted only automatic lock only for my login details. Okay, so once the person is logged into my account, other person should not log into my account that time. So only there, only at that point I need a synchronization. In that case you can use this keyword, or else you can skip it and you can use it for everything. So this keyword, I'll just type this also. So this keyword will be using for, so current object only inside this particular block you will be using this one. So is that clear? So they'll be asking synchronize method. So if you are using synchronize method, it will be used for whole method. If you are using synchronize block, it is only for the part of the code. So is that clear, everyone? Any doubts so far? So just you wanted to just put a keyword called synchronization. So I want you guys to try that. Then we can move to JDBC, I guess. Synchronized concept is that much, that's it. So just what you're gonna do is, so this is a counter. So here you have used void, right? Here before that you'll be using synchronized keyword, and that is done. So have you guys installed MySQL Workbench?
We have.
Sorry, Shubham, you were trying to say something, right?
Actually, I have.
Okay. So what about others? So hope everyone have been installed SQL Workbench. No, ma'am. Why? Shashank had informed you yesterday itself, right? To install it. So okay, do one thing. Today you just go through this and you try executing that at home once the class is done. So hope that works, right? Hope that works. Yes, no.